They won't hear me. The main thing I want to just say to you before, I'm Linda Houston, and before we start this, I want to tell you on the side, if you haven't signed the petitions for gerrymandering, they're over here by the side of the building. If you're not registered, there's registration forms as well to register to vote. Okay, again, I'm Linda Houston, and I want to thank all of you for coming out. This is just incredible to me, always. I want to introduce to you the MC, who's going to introduce you to the speakers. The speakers are only supposed to speak between 3 and 5 minutes, and I'm going to time them, okay, because I know it gets hard to listen to these things. The MC is Deborah Griffith. She grew up in Southwest Canton and moved to Worcester 11 years ago. She has a degree in secondary education, specializing in communications, which is why she got the job. She currently is self-employed. She is an organizer with the Buckeye Neighborhood Group, and if any of you are from Worcester and you go up Buckeye, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's changed the neighborhood. And volunteers at Cornerstone Elementary School. Here's Deborah. Woo!
Thank you all for being here for the second women's rally, Power to the Polls. Our speakers today will be sharing their experiences and knowledge with us. We hope that their words encourage and enlighten you. Thank you in advance for your kind attention to their words. Our first speaker today is Jen Warden. She's newly elected councilperson for the 2nd Ward. She is the only woman of 8 members of council, and she will be speaking about what we're celebrating today.
All right, Jen!
Hello, Wooster. Can you hear me?
Yes!
My name is Jen Warden. 1 year ago, I attended the Women's March right here because I was concerned about the mistreatment of women and minorities in this country, and I wanted things to change. Little did I know how drastically they would change for me. In 1 short year, and with the help and encouragement of so many of you, I ran for public office. In November, I was elected to Worcester City Council, where I'm not only the youngest member, but also the only woman. This is a critical moment for women voters. From reproductive rights and sexual violence to racial justice and environmental protection, it's more important than ever that we show up to the polls and support the candidates and the issues that will bring positive change. Today, Congress has a record number of women, 104 female House members and 21 female senators. That's a good start. However, it's not quite 30% of Congress. Women and girls make up more than 50% of our country's population. I think our government should reflect the people it represents, don't you? Yeah! I believe that's why we're here today. Today, we gather for women's rights. We gather for citizen involvement. We gather today for dignity and for honor. Today, we stand for fair wages. We stand for health care for all. We stand together for inclusion and for equality. Today we will walk for human rights. We walk for clean energy and for safety, and we walk together for just reform. For immigration reform, for honesty, for goodwill, for statesmanship, and perhaps more now than ever, for cooperation among our elected officials. We are here today to stand, to march, and to vote for a world where every woman and girl is strong, safe, and powerful, and heard. This is our time. Thank you very much, Wooster.
Yeah!
Thank you, Jen. Next up is Dave Noble, a local philanthropist, entrepreneur, and supporter of democratic causes. He will be speaking about the environment.
Thank you, Deborah. And I want to thank Linda Houston and Dee Dee Greasy for organizing this march. Let's give them a round of applause. And I want to thank all of you for being here. This is just terrific. It's wonderful to see such a terrific turnout. This picture that my wife is holding was taken almost 50 years ago when I was a young man, and we spent $30 billion sending men to the moon thinking that we were going to get all kinds of benefits, and none of those benefits turned out, except they turned around and they took this magnificent picture of our planet. And to me, this picture says we are all in this together. And we had best take care of this place where we live. That requires collective action. That requires working together. That requires that our government and the governments of the world work together to protect our planet. That is not what is going on in Washington today. I want to give you just one quick example. There's a fellow named Bob Murray that I happen to know personally who runs Murray Energy. Mr. Murray paid $300,000 to the Trump Inaugural Committee, and immediately thereafter, Mr. Trump lifted the regulations that prevent coal-fired power plants from putting mercury into the rivers. As a consequence, there are now about 5 tons of highly toxic mercury being poured into our rivers. That's the kind of environmental protection we are getting from the Republicans. When they say that they want to lift job-killing regulations, what they mean is they want to pollute.
Yep.
And that's not good for any of us. It's not even good for the Republicans. In any event, the solution is that we have to work together. And we have to work at politics. And there are candidates here today, and I want to urge all of you to work with these people, because these are people who are putting their lives on the line to work for us, and we need to work for them. And if we all work together, we can make this a lot better place. I have figured out the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans are people who want to protect property rights, and Democrats are people who are interested in human rights. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Dave. Before I introduce the next speaker, we would like to thank Susan Riedner. She made many of the signs that you see here. And I'd like to thank all of you for your wonderful and creative signs that you have made. So next we have Kevin Barnett. He is running for the Ohio State House Representative for the 1st House District, and he will be speaking about growing up with 2 women.
Thank you very much. Actually, it should have been growing up with 2 women in the 70s and 80s. What happened was my father passed away when I was 10. Shortly thereafter, my sister was getting a divorce, and the 2 of them decided that to help each other out, they would buy a 2-family house together. My mother would stay home with my sister's 3 kids and myself, and she would work. So that worked out for a while. We had the families together, it worked out, and then things started to get tight again. So it was decided that my mother and I would move downstairs with my sister, and we would then rent out the apartment upstairs. And again, that worked out for a little bit of a while. But after a while, that also didn't work. So after 40 years, my mother went back into the workforce to start helping to make ends meet. And then a president called Ronald Reagan was elected, and he had a plan. He had a tax plan that was going to give people a break. But what he didn't tell us, he said, small business is small government is what we need. Big government is the problem. What he didn't tell us was what he was going to do was cut social services. You see, when my father passed away, my mother and I were getting Social Security. And I was supposed to receive that Social Security until I was 21. But with the new law, I was going to lose it, or my family was going to lose it, when it was when I turned 18. There was a caveat: if you were already in college, that you could keep it until you were 21. So I was able to, with the help of my high school and the community college, be able to go to college early. So I actually left high school in January of my senior year. So when I stand up here in front of you and I tell you that I believe women's issues are family issues, and family issues are issues for everybody, they're not just words to me. I actually live those words. I understand what a living wage means to a family. I understand what pay equality means. I understand what affordable quality health care will mean to a family. And also, I understand when a president offers you something with one hand, you better watch out what he's doing with the other. So I just have a couple of things to ask you guys. I want you to shout out the answers when you have them. Are you guys sick and tired of elected officials who are working for special interests, big business, and the top 1%?
Yes!
Are you sick and tired of the anger, fear, and frustration you feel each day when you looked at the news?
Yes!
Do you believe, like I do, when we all stand together, united, that we are a force that cannot lose?
Yes!
And do you believe, like I do, that the best way to change this government is to go out and vote for the candidates who best represent your values?
Yes!
Well, then I'd like to reintroduce myself to you. My name is Kevin Barnett. I'm running for Ohio State Rep for District 1 here in Wayne County. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. I'd like to remind you that voter registration forms, gerrymandering petitions, and email sign-ups, all available at the table over here. There are also gerrymandering petitions on this side. Make sure if you have not signed those that you sign one today. We need every signature we can get. Now we're going to hear from Paula Chenevy, a fierce advocate for health care and a strong local voice, sharing her views on the health care system.
Okay, it's rather intimidating. I practice at home, but it's rather intimidating when you get here with everyone. So I'd like to start with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. A little closer? Okay, all right. My name is Paula Chenevy, and I am a healthcare advocate. I am here today to share my story of living as a patient with stage 4 cancer. I am also a Medicaid recipient. I am not lazy. I am not dumb. I am not bilking the system. I am trying to stay alive. In 2012, I was working 2 jobs. I was uninsured, and I was diagnosed with cancer. I was able to receive the 18 months of treatment through generous contributions from foundations and programs and my friends and family. In 2014, I was diagnosed with metastases to the brain and liver, and I was able to receive Medicaid through the Patient Protections and Affordable Care Act. Since then, yes, woo. Since then, I receive chemotherapy every 3 weeks. I take a handful of medications daily. We treat brain tumors as they arise. I undergo regular scans and MRIs for monitoring. We manage side effects as best we can, and the cycle continues. We recently discovered that there's progression in the abdomen, and there's some necrosis in the brain. So we have once again altered treatment to accommodate, and again, the cycle continues indefinitely. In the metastatic world, we call it scan, treat, and repeat. Words cannot express the gratitude that my family and I have for Medicaid, for the doctors, the hospitals, physicians, and facilities that treat me. When I tell my story to lawmakers or to people who don't understand or know that I'm a patient of Medicaid and are complaining about the Medicaid system, I get the same surprised reaction. Oh, I didn't mean you. You are an exception. Yeah, you did mean me, and I am not the exception. I am just one of 74 million Americans receiving needed health care. I'm not getting a truck. I'm not getting a house. I'm not getting a private jet. This is health care through the Medicaid system. And we're talking also about 48 million children. Medicaid doesn't only benefit the recipient. It is a major source of funding for doctors, hospitals, nursing homes, and also jobs in the healthcare system. Proposals to restructure the Medicaid system right now have significant consequences for enrollees like me and also the healthcare system. The potential implications of these proposals warrant careful considerations. What is out there being proposed currently is devastating. So we have to ask, what is it that we are trying to accomplish? Are we trying to build a better healthcare system? Are we trying to make a stronger workforce and a stronger economy? Are we trying to ensure that our neighbors are healthy and that everyone is taken care of? Or are we just trying to reduce the number of people on Medicaid? Because these new proposals, they'll definitely do that. But they're not going to ensure that everyone is healthy. They're not going to do anything to build a stronger workforce or a stronger economy. They're not going to improve the healthcare system. They're only going to take healthcare away from people who need it most. Yeah. And that is just cruel. Yeah. So what can we do? We need to build a healthcare system that is affordable, adequate, available, and equitable for everyone. Yeah. And we can do that. It is up to us. We create policy. We do, the people. And it is up to us to create policy that works for everyone. We get to choose whether health care is important. We get to choose who gets it, who doesn't, who pays more, who pays less, or maybe everybody gets the same. And with these choices that we make, we create the communities that we want. So, do we want strong, healthy communities? We need strong, healthy people. And to get strong, healthy people, we need a healthcare system that is affordable, that is adequate, that is available, that is equitable for everyone. And this is not about me and my story. This is a greater conversation about every single one of us. We all have a healthcare story because we all need healthcare. It's a basic essential of life, and everyone needs it. So where do we go from here? We can show up at meetings, show up in lawmakers' offices, show up at rallies, show up. You can show up to vote. And right now, today, you can show up in dialogue. Talk to people that you disagree with and find out where we're different. Find out what makes us tick. We are all the same, and we need each other. Talk to each other, listen to each other. Challenge your own beliefs. Why do I believe healthcare for everybody? Why do I not believe in healthcare for everybody? Challenge yourself. Show up. Together, we can envision a country that takes care of each other. We can talk and create policy that allows us to do that. And then we can vote for lawmakers who will enact that policy. Thank you, Paula.
And now to talk about education issues, education specialist and Cornerstone Elementary School teacher Karen Lynch.
Along with people.
Hello, beautiful people. I am here to advocate for our greatest resource. Can you hear me? Yes. I'm here to advocate for our greatest resource, our children. Yes. I'm here to advocate for other people's children. I'm here to advocate for developmentally appropriate instruction and play and joy and curiosity and imagination for all children. I am here to advocate for the greatest equalizer, public education. I am here to inform you that school choice is code for privatization. I am here to inform you that privatization looks like charter schools and vouchers and state takeover of districts. I'm here to warn you about the people who want to take money from our children and line their own pockets. The most powerful offender is Betsy DeVos, Secretary of Federal Department of Education. Here in Ohio, Bill Lauger, who founded ECOT, made over $200,000 in campaign contributions in 2015. Fortunately, the buck is stopping for him. David Brennan founded White Hat Management. Fatullah Gulen founded Concept Schools, is running the scammiest of scams all over the United States. I am here to warn you that our state is being taken over by our local school districts are being taken over, leaving parents and students and teachers and school board members with no voice. I'm here to notify you that the term accountability is being used as a tool to privatize our schools. Step 1, paint our schools as failing. Step 2, paint our educators as lazy and incompetent. I'm here to notify you that accountability has successfully accomplished these two things, making it easy for politicians to make laws that hurt our children. I'm here to notify you that our politicians are using the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC, to bring forth legislation all across the United States that hurt our schools. I'm here to remind you that children do not develop at the same rate. Children are not standard. I am here to remind you that standardized tests is the least effective way to show a child's growth. I am here to remind you that teachers with personal relationships with children are able to show growth. I am here to remind you that we fail children when we have an incredibly narrow focus of what success is. I am here to remind you, women predominantly work in the classrooms. I'm here to tell you that these women know what they're doing, and often it's not safe for them to speak up. Lady teachers, you are the experts. Lady teachers. I'm here to tell you standardized tests have hijacked the time teachers have to teach. I am here to tell you educators feel defeated when a child is labeled a failure according to one test. I am here to tell you that the relationships that we build with our students are way more valuable than a test. I am here to tell you educators are the first to admit that our schools can do better. I am here to encourage you to support your local schools. I am here to encourage you to attend meetings of your local school board. Those meetings are open to all of you. Ask questions. Ask the board members, how many classrooms have you been in? I am here to encourage you to ask your legislators and candidates, who are the teachers that you ask to help inform your decisions about education? How many classrooms have you been in? How many teachers do you talk to? I'm here to alert you that educators feel deeply. When you believe the fallacy that our public schools are failing, we hurt. I am here to alert you that teachers, especially our newest teachers, are wasting precious time on paperwork and actions that do not help them help children. I am here to let you know our public schools are not failing. I am here to let you know we are taking seriously, wait a minute, I'm sorry. I am here to let you know we are not taking seriously what it takes to create quality public schools for all children. I am here to let you know we can do better and we must do better together. I am here to let you know about a website called Know Your Charter. You can go to this website, you can find out how the charter schools are doing in your district. You have charter schools in your district. You can find out how much of your tax money is leaving your district to support failing charters. It's called Know Your Charters, and I want you to remember this, so please repeat after me. Know your charters! 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 Go look it up.
Thank you very much, Karen. I want to take just a moment again to say thank you all for being here. All of our speakers are pointed this way, but we appreciate all of you, too. Dee Giese is the chairperson of the Wayne County Women's Caucus, and she will be telling us about the importance of women voting in 2018 and about voter registration forms.
Hello, Pussycat Nation! Yes, I'm here to talk to you folks about the importance of women voting in 2018. I am Dee Giese. It's easy. It's Giese. I'm Dee Giese. Not Giese, I'm Giese. I'm easy. It's easy. It's all right, Dave Noble. I honestly, I'm the chair of the Wayne Women's Caucus, which is organized under the Wayne County Democratic Party. And I'm here to talk to you today, and it's very important because you know what is important to you, don't you? Yes, we all have our issues. We all have things that are important to us. I don't need to stand here and tell you what's important to you because all issues are women's issues. Yes, they are. Some may say, and I've heard it, white women can do better, but, maybe, but, hey, let's remind ourselves of the past. Because in the past, we had to fight for our civil rights. We had to fight for the right to vote. And we're not going to let that vote be taken back, are we? No! Great! It's a good crowd today. We also have to focus on the present, and our rights are under threat. We have to vote now. We have to preserve, and we have to protect, and we have to advance our human and civil rights. And I want to state the obvious, that women's rights are human rights. Am I wrong? I'm right. Aren't I? Yes. So what's motivating you? I see a lot of great signs around here, a lot of individual messages, what's important to you. Maybe it's the hashtag Me Too that's important to you. Maybe it's the hashtag Us Too, the Silence Breakers Times Persons of the Year, or perhaps you just want to say, hey, time's up. Now's the time for change, and we're not going back. Hashtag time's up. Folks, this is a moment. It is a moment in history. I'm sorry, it's a moment in herstory, right? Yeah! I like it. We also have to look forward to the future. You know what? We need to pave the way for our better lives for us, for our children's lives, and for the American way of life, because we might lose it. We want to keep it. It's good. We want to make it better, right? Right. So we want to live the example. We want to show what that means to be a good American citizen and to support good American legislators, good American courts and judges, and a good American president as we move forward to 2020, right? Yeah! To achieve our American ideals of equality and of justice, we must run for office, and we must vote! Yes! We're talking about you, women out there. We've got to vote. But I do want to say, hey, we want to vote for good women. We want to vote for good men, because I think the majority of us are good men and women, and that's what brings us together. It's all of us together, and we want to promote what's good. And I think it's time we need to focus on those core values that we have as a community and start voting for that and showing up for that in strong numbers, because you know what? Even in Virginia, we found one vote can make a difference. So your vote makes a difference. It's true. So we're going to bring power to the polls in 2018, are we not? Yes. Every one of you, you're going to show up to vote, yes? Every single one. Power to the polls, 2018. All right, that's what we're here for. So for all the good women and men who run for office, I want to encourage you to vote. And I want you to make sure that you are registered to vote, because you know what, folks? That's under risk. If you, for whatever circumstances, haven't been there in a couple times, it's all right. We can handle it. Just go right over there. We'll get you registered again, or we'll check up on it. But remember, folks, it's very important to vote in all elections. Yes. Yep. That means the primary, which is coming up shortly in the spring here, and also the general election. Don't forget that primary. We've got so many who are running for governor, so many who are running for the 16th district for U.S. House, and it's important that you show who you think really is going to be a good leader for us. Yep. So I would like to say, back there at Gathering Grounds, after our march to City Hall, you can come back to Gathering Grounds Coffee House right in the corner over there. You can register to vote. You can get more information. You know what? If you need who to call me. My card's back there. Grab a copy of it. Take it. Email me. Phone me. There is a resource. I can be that resource for you. So, to sum it up, I just want to say I'm a real person. I'm here. You're all real people, too. Real people matter. I'm Dee Dee Giese. I'm the chair of the Wayne Women's Caucus, and we need you. We need all of you to show up to vote 2018. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Our next speaker is Lupe Williams, an immigration, civil rights, and human rights activist, and she will be speaking about immigration today. Woo!
My fellow citizens, good morning. Good morning.
Oh no!
Immigration is not a bad word.
No.
Immigrant workers is not a bad word.
No.
But the world is.
Yes.
And immigration matters.
Yes.
The American dream is not about a few of us getting rich. The American dream is about all of us getting a fair piece of the good things in life. Today, We have a president who calls African countries assholes. A president who wants to limit immigration to countries like Norway. A president who knows nothing about this country's history. But let me tell you this, my dear friends. The hundreds of thousands of immigrants who have been sheltered from deportation by the temporary protect status have built lives and paid taxes in this country. Many of those immigrants have children who are U.S. citizens. Immigrants of all education background and skill levels have contributed to this nation's economy. The temporary protected status was created to protect people unable to return home safely due to conditions. El Salvador, Haiti, and Nicaragua have lost TPS under the Trump administration. 200,000 individuals from El Salvador are being subjected to deportation if TPS is terminated. Have you heard of DACA?
Yes.
The DREAM Act?
Yes.
The Action for Childhood Arrivals?
Yes.
800,000 individuals ages 17 to 30 were enrolled in the program in 2012. To enroll in the DACA program, they require to be physically present in this country, to have been currently enrolled in high school or have graduated from high school or have been honorably discharged from the U.S. Coast Guard or other form of forces. But in September of last year, the very stable genius He's a genius.
Oh, yeah.
And
My dog.
announced to be thinking of terminating DACA. Do you know that the term chain immigration is a tactic Trump borrowed from hate groups such as the Center for Immigration Studies? Have you heard of the lottery system which allocated 50,000 visas to people from countries with low immigration rates? Applicants can only apply electronically, and they are not, as Trump argues, the worst of the worst handpicked by other countries' government. We are not surprised of the attacks on our immigration system. It reflects this shameful agenda of nativists and white nationalists who fear the growing diversity of our country. My friends, have you noticed that when Trump doesn't like what he hears from the media, he starts calling the news fake? No, Donald Trump, there are no fake news. There are no fake news when we witness families being apart. There are no fake news when children witness immigration busting in their homes at 4 o'clock in the morning while the father or mother is getting ready for work. There are no fake news when families witness their loved ones being deported in shackles. No, my friends, these are not fake news.
No.
By this despicable remarks this man made to Haitians as having AIDS and Africans would never go back to their huts, Trump is insulting the Statue of Liberty. Trump is Trump is reluctant to admit that his ancestors left their asshole when they came to the United States of America. But if we are to fulfill Dr. King's dream, we can't depend on others to lead us like this intellect genius Trump. This man's policies and behavior have trampled on the legacy and life of Dr. King and everything he was killed fighting for. But we will not let the Trump administration move our nation backwards on voting rights, labor rights, civil rights, or human rights, because together we will conquer and we have solidarity.
Thank you, Nick. Robin Scher, a professor of English at the College of Wooster, is our next speaker. She will be talking about women's issues.
Hi. What I am is a poet, so here goes. Closer? All right. When I was a child, my parents gave me a quarter to carry. In an emergency, I could use it to call for help. What that emergency might be, I never knew. I did know it meant something bad could happen, and I needed to be ready at all times. This blunt readiness for some disaster or violence is what women carry at all times. We are alert to the threat of violence against us. We could so easily be beaten, violated, or murdered by anyone. We are never completely safe. This parcel of fear is with us so often we stop noticing that we carry it, just as we don't notice we carry our limbs or our heart. The worst that happened to me could not have been helped with a quarter and a phone booth. It was abuse at the hands of a grandfather, harassment by a boss, violence from a boyfriend. It was the slow grinding down of daily life, teaching me what to expect as a girl, as a woman, what was normal, what to suffer, and what to keep quiet about. Chances are 1 in 6 of the women here will be raped in her lifetime. 1 in 4 of us will be sexually assaulted, and of those assaulted, 1 in 7 will be under the age of 6. 8 out of 10 of us will know our abuser. And if we are brown or black or poor, the statistics are even higher. A quarter will not protect us, nor will any of the necessities we carry, not lipstick or tissues or a lucky rabbit's foot, and probably not even mace or a gun. My child leaves the house with nothing in his pockets. At the end of a good day, his pockets are full of treasures he has found. A clump of grass, buckeyes, tiny pine cones, squirrel bones. He has not yet learned that he needs anything, or that there is anything to fear. All that he carries into this world is curiosity and open-heartedness. The rest of us fill our pockets and bags with what we might need. Money, lip balm, keys, tampons, a cell phone, granola bars, hand sanitizers, condoms, maybe a pen and a notebook, maybe a gun. An excavation of these items is an examination of our needs, expectations, and our fears. Looking closely might also reveal our prejudices and the ideas we carry that are the most powerful and the most destructive. There's a Jewish teaching that a person should carry 2 slips of paper, one in each pocket. On one slip, it should say, "For my sake, the world was created." On the other slip, it should say, "I am but dust and ashes." We should remind ourselves both that we are dust and the world is ours. It's a beautiful idea to live within that tension between humility and power. Our lives are short and mortal, and our bodies made of simple elements. Yet we are also powerful and brilliant creatures, and it's easy to imagine that this world might be ours. For some of us, that balance is off and impossible to reconcile. We hear and carry one message more than the other. It is an act of resistance for women to truly believe the world is ours when we are bombarded with reminders that we are dust, that we are objects. It takes fierce intention for people of color, Jews, Muslims, and gay, lesbian, bisexual, queer, and trans people to claim this world is ours when the message is that we are ash. There is real danger in believing in one message more than the other. The belief that some of us are dust leads to our assault, our exploitation, our silencing. The entitlement and privilege that comes from believing the world belongs to others leads to abuse of both people and the environment. It leads to slavery, manifest destiny, mass incarceration, environmental decline, gender pay gap, opiate abuse. It leads to patriarchy. It leads to a government dominated by white men. I want a world where we carry no more than the wondrous treasures we find, the acorns and shiny rocks. I want a world where we don't carry guns to the supermarket. I want a world where we greet each other without fear or prejudice. One where we all believe we are all fully and truly and equally human. But we need to vote for that world. We need to create a sea change. No one made this world for us. If our bodies are dust, then it is stardust and formed into bodies within women. We make ourselves. We can make the world we want.
Thank you, Robin. Just another reminder, voter registration to the, gerrymandering petitions to the left of you, gerrymandering petitions to the right of you. Also, voter registration and email sign-ups to this side. Our next speaker, Reverend Kevin Franklin, the minister at Trinity Church, will be telling us about the tax law and cuts to the most in need.
Hello everybody, it's good to be here with you. Thank you for coming today. My name is Kevin and I am a human being. We all have that in common. I'm dissatisfied with the world as it is, and I'm here because I want to make a positive difference. I believe that practicing justice is patriotism. Today I received an email, and it was from an organization called CREW, C-R-E-W, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. And I thought, oh my, they need a lot of pastoral care. But I want to remind you what a challenge we have before us. So you know all these issues that we've been talking about, all these issues that affect our lives are really about money, right? And economic inequality is the central issue that we're facing. I've been asked to talk about poverty and about the new tax law. Now, many Americans have dropped out of the system, out of the democratic political process, because they lost hope. And one of the most important things that we do when we gather here on this square is that we give hope to one another. And today we speak for those people who have no voice. And we can see all the way down the line every significant issue that we face. Environmental degradation, war, healthcare, immigration, the justice system, basic human rights for women. These are all political decisions come down to who makes money.
Yep.
And tax cuts mean gains for people at the top, and invariably they mean tax cuts that result in local services that we used to have in our community. Schools, the Department of Developmental Disabilities, public services like mental health,
Yep.
and these costs are shuffled from the top to the bottom. Now, people in Worcester, we're keenly aware of this because of the cuts that happened at the state level, and then here in Worcester, we ended up getting an increase in our income tax. And this is cost shifting. And you know that there are some community services that we just can't do without. Now, a place like Wooster can make these adjustments, and we can adjust. But there are poor counties in Ohio who can't make up the loss of these services on the state level. This is inequality. And the passage of the most recent tax law was more of the same kind of trickle-down theory that's been in practice, as Kevin said, for the last 30 years. And it continues to make life difficult for all of us on the bottom. So keep an eye on the kinds of things that they plan to cut next. The excuse will be that we can't afford it. And I'm talking HUD, SNAP, CHIP, Medicaid. This is all cost shifting, and it's going to come down to us and people who are most vulnerable. So we need to ask the question, what is the cost of not taking care of people? How do we account for human suffering when all of the decisions that are made are market driven? And we never get to ask the question, how do we want to live together? Gandhi said a nation's greatness is measured by how it treats its weakest members. But they have no value. So what matters, what really makes a difference, is that people come together like you have today. All different backgrounds, all different social standing, to come together to share our everyday lives and to learn what our differences are and our needs. It's called face-to-face morality. So be intentional about having eyes to see the community around you. Martin Luther King gave a great sermon on the Good Samaritan. And he said everybody who walked down that road, they were asking the wrong question. They were asking the question, if I go over there and help this person, what will happen to me? And they should have been asking the question, if I don't stop and go and help that person, what will happen to them? And there's a point about cost shifting there, right? My friend Gordon Shaw was talking about this parable, and he said, well, I think that we ought to find out why that road wasn't safe in the first place and make it safe for travelers. Now that's a moral imagination, and that's what we have to have today. So I want to encourage you to look around and notice people. We'd often like to admit it, but there are an awful lot of people right here in Worcester who are on the edge of paying their bills. So you can ask yourself, is that woman just one paycheck away from losing her place to live? If she does lose her place to live, what will happen to her? Does that mean that she won't have enough money to do the things she needs? Does that man over there have enough money to buy the medicine he needs for a chronic illness? If he can't afford it, will he stop taking his medication that's life-saving? And when he comes home from the hospital, does he even have a bed to sleep on, or does he sleep on the floor? We're in a place today where we've been squeezed really hard in the middle class. And according to a new survey in a financial publication, approximately 60% of Americans now have no emergency savings for things like an emergency room visit or a typical car repair. We're right on the edge of the street. And some of these problems can't be solved by working harder. So be mindful of poverty. And contrary to what you may hear people say about taking advantage of social services, most people don't ask for help. And I see these people all the time. They suffer silently. They're unseen. And they don't want anyone to know because sometimes they're ashamed. And sometimes they even blame themselves for being in poverty. Economic inequality is not good for anyone. And no one can stand in an economic tsunami. We saw this in 2008 when many people right here in Wayne County lost their homes because of the mortgage crisis. So creating caring community is not easy. And I want to tell you that it's more than resisting one administration. It's about having an everyday awareness that this is up and about community and knowing one another and being concerned with the needs of other people. And resisting the idea that we can be divided because we're different. I am a human being. And the U.S. economy is increasingly designed to work for only the top %. So we need a new measure. And ignoring basic human needs is always cost shifting. And it only takes a little bit more, just a little bit more, for people to live a stable life. Human beings were made for community, not to compete against one another to simply survive. But to care for one another so that others thrive. Now we are all connected in this web of destiny and diversity, and we need to celebrate our diversity. No one should be left out of that web of care.
Thank you, Kevin. I am now on the last page of my introductions. Ashley Brenneman sponsored the local Me Too rally and will be telling us more about that movement.
Hey, power to the polls! Woo! This is so impressive. There's so many of you out here. This is way intimidating. I've been standing down here, and does not look this big from down there. Hello, I'm Ashley Brenneman, and I feel like there are 3 things you should know about me before I go into the Me Too movement discussion. I am a fierce feminist. I am a lover of humanity, and I'm a soon-to-be mother. I probably wasn't going to cry, I'm sorry. So with all of that, I feel it's important to start with because the past year has really crushed my soul, as I'm sure all of you feel the same way. But now I'm paying more attention to humanity and how we treat each other. And it's shocking that I'm 26 years old and I just started paying more attention to all of the sexual assaults that happen everywhere in the world. And I am a sexual assault survivor, and I've met probably thousands of people just this past year on social media, in person, at the grocery store, on just emails because they found me on social media, that have felt the same way I've felt. And it's because of the day that the Me Too movement went viral on social media. Do we all remember that hashtag day? Okay, so that was a really huge turning point, I feel, in our society. And I'm also a millennial, so you know me, I'm always on my phone. Super proud of that, but I've read so many survivor stories come out, and it was because of that hashtag. I mean, it's a stupid hashtag. We know about Twitter, we know how dangerous it is, but it's also super healing because that hashtag changed people's lives. And so the story I'm going to tell you is why I'm here today and what my activity is for the day. I read an article about a woman who had never spoken about her rape. She was online and read about the Me Too movement, decided to participate. So she actually still had her mattress in her apartment that the rape happened on. She was on a first date. She had invited him in, and it went down from there. She took that mattress that she had been storing in her living room, not sleeping on it, just kind of staring at it, wondering what to do with it. And she wrote the words "Me Too" on the mattress, and she put it out for the garbage, so it was on the side of the road. When she came home from work that day, the mattress was still there, and people had wrote on the mattress. So because she wrote the words "Me Too" and told her story on the mattress, People then shared love and support, but also their stories with her. So she ended up filming it, making a big video about it, and talking about how powerful the movement was for her. So myself, my husband, and my family and friends decided to get a mattress and set it up in the square here just a few months ago. And we just sat right here and we let people walk past all day. And it was amazing, the stories that were told, the first time stories that were told from women in their 50s, 60s that have never even talked about their trauma before. And we passed out information about how to get help, how to be a supporter of a survivor, how to understand the PTSD that comes with sexual assault. And so since that day, we've been trying to find more reasons to do more mattresses. So today we have a mattress, and it is set up in the coffee house behind us, where we're gonna have a lot more information for you. If you know somebody that's been assaulted, if you know of somebody that needs to talk about it but hasn't, look for me. My family and my friends are in the black sweatshirts down here as well that say Me Too. I think it's time that we start using our voices more. I mean, thank God that this has happened, and thank God that people are now coming out and getting it out of their souls, because it doesn't do any good to stay in there. And I just want to share one quote with you that I actually use as my background on my phone, because it's such a great reminder. Healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. And I want you to pay attention to the word damage, because it's damaging. It means that the damage no longer controls our lives. And that is what I think the Me Too movement is doing for people. So please help us spread the Me Too movement, live it every day, speak up when you see things that shouldn't be happening, men and women alike. Thank you guys, and have a great March.
Thank you, Ashley. And also remember, in addition to the Me Too movement, support our brothers with the Us Too movement. Now, Oliver Warren is a busy man. He's the local chairperson of Indivisible Wooster, the president of the Concerned Citizens of Wayne County, while completing his senior year at the College of Wooster. He will be talking about where we go from here.
Thank you all for coming out. Can you hear me? No. No? All right, let's just, what about now?
Yes.
Okay. I need a second here, because that was touching. Most of these stories today have been touching. I'm not here to tell you about any other issue you haven't heard about. I'm not here to tell you about my personal story. I'm here to discuss where we go from here. We've all heard things that have touched us today. We've all heard issues that we hold dear to us. And what I have to say is that we have to fight for our democracy. We have to fight hard. It's not enough to stand on this square and listen. We have to organize, we have to get together. We need to bring people to the polls. We need to unite. So, thank you. So what we have here today for you, I know you've heard this multiple times already, but if you need to register to vote, we have voter sheets over there. Please sign the gerrymandering petition. We can go nowhere if our districts are gerrymandered to the point where our voice does not matter. And please, we also have an email sheet going around and at the table, so we can all stay connected and we can organize together. Back there is where the sheet is now. So, please, this is tooting my own horn a little bit, a little self-interested, but please join Indivisible Wooster. We've worked hard, we'll continue to work hard. We're going to be knocking on doors, registering people. We're knocking on doors, we're moving to different towns, centered around our gerrymandering petitions, and this year we're working on campaigns. So please, if you want to make a change, join Indivisible. If you want to increase the level of discourse here in Wayne County, and especially here in Worcester, if you want to make this place a better place, please join Concerned Citizens of Wayne County. We're going to be reaching across aisles, we're going to be discussing issues, we're going to be educating the public. And thirdly, please find a campaign that inspires you this year. Please work on the campaign, knock doors, bring your ideas, bring your energy. We need it. We need every one of you. Yes, and as Linda just said, please give money if you can. Now, the next thing I have to do for you all is introduce some of the candidates that are here. You've already met Kevin Barnett, who's running for our House District, our State House District. We also have Aaron Godfrey here. He's running for the 16th Congressional District. And that's Ken Harbaugh. So, they're going to be here. They're not going to come up and speak, but they're going to be here to talk to each one of you if you want to speak to them about the issues, about what concerns you, or about them, whatever they want. So, thank you. Fight, unite, join some groups, resist.
Thank you, all of them. And now Juanita Green, former president of the Wooster, Orville, and NAACP, will present us with a reading.
Good afternoon, everybody. For the 3 people here that don't know me, my name is Juanita Green, and I'm involved in civil rights here in Worcester and in Ohio. I'm very honored to be here with the majority of the people that are here, and God bless you. You did wonderful. Nothing can get done if you sit home and do nothing. Not only do you need to get up and vote, you need to take 4 or 5 people with you. This way you know your vote is counted, okay? Look around you. Look at the lack of diversity that we have out here. We have people who feel that their votes don't matter. I am a person whose nationality is involved with several of the shithole countries that somebody's president brought upon. Roots Africa, Haiti, Puerto Rico, and we feel that our votes don't count. But I go to vote and I bring 3 or 4 people so that I know my vote is counted. So please, doing nothing and complaining is not doing anything. We have got to really put our best foot forward. And you may not agree with everything, but we all agree that what's going on in our country under this president, with the best words and the brilliant mind, it's literally killing people. It's killing children. If you don't want to stand up for yourself, stand up for the children. I'm going to read a poem from Maya Angelou, a woman whose roots are from another one of those shithole countries. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may have trod me in the dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Because I walk like I got all wells pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns, with certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Do you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cry. Does my horniness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, cause I laugh, that's right, like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like life, I rise.
2 seconds.
Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance?
Okay.
Like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs.
Well, but Ken
Out of the huts of history's shame,
has his daughter
we rise.
wants it.
Up from the past that's rooted in pain, we rise. I am a black ocean, leaping and wide, welding and sweltering. I bear the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear. We rise into a daybreak that's miraculously clear. I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, and look around, I rise. Thank you.
And now Ken Harbaugh did want to come up and say just a few words to his lovely daughter.
Thank you so much. It's such an incredible honor to be here. Truth be told, we had an event this morning. I was running so late. I called Anne-Marie in a panic and I said, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to do, and I didn't know what to do. And I heard in the background a little voice pipe up and say, I got this. This is the Women's March, right? Is it all right if I hand the mic over to my 12-year-old daughter?
Yeah!
If my dad was here right now, which he is, but he wanted to tell you about 3 women who changed his life. The first one is Lourdes Tiglao, who served with him in the Philippines. She taught him about leadership. In the aftermath of the worst typhoon in recorded history, Lourdes was responsible for evacuating victims. There were no ambulances, no drivers, and hardly any roads, but Lourdes was relentless. She convinced strangers to transport people on mopeds. She found families willing to load a stretcher into their wagons. Lourdes got hurt people to safely. For her, my dad learned that true leadership means accomplishing your mission no matter how bad the circumstances seem. The second woman is my grandma, Kathy Harbaugh, and she taught my dad perseverance. My grandpa was an Air Force pilot and he was not around a lot. My grandma raised 2 boys largely on her own. One day, when she was exercising a horse, my grandma was thrown from the horse and she broke her leg. Alone in the woods, she set her own femur bone and called for over an hour for help. She did not even tell anybody the story. She never thought that it was important. From her, my dad learned that we should never give up, no matter how hard we struggle. The final person my dad says he learned from is me. He says from the very first moment he met me in the hospital, he learned his true purpose on this planet, to raise a little girl who would change the world. When I grow up, I want to be a biochemical engineer and develop medicines to cure cancer. For me, my dad learned to be an ally. In closing, he wanted me to share this quote from Admiral Grace Hopper, a fellow naval officer and personal hero of his. Admiral Hopper says this, "A ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are for. Standing here together, we are safe, but that is not what groups of women are for. The real work is out there in the communities, our churches, our streets. Who here is ready to run for city council? Who here is ready to take her place on the school board, in the mayor's office, and on Capitol Hill?"
Yeah!
This rally is only as good as the actions that come out of it. Let's dare to venture into the storm and together do the hard work of taking back our democracy. And remember, if there is not a place for you at the table, bring your own folding chair.
I think there's someone we need to keep an eye on in about 15 years. And now, Joe and Chelsea Chirpak will be coming up. No. See, this is what happens. They went off the schedule on me.
Sorry.
We're going to be hearing from Aaron Gottfried, right? Sorry, I didn't even
Hi everybody, my name's Aaron Godfrey. I'm running for the U.S. House 16th District, so if you don't like Jim Renacci, we'll probably get along just fine. Thank everybody for being out here today. It's a beautiful day for it, right? But I didn't have anything planned. I didn't know I was going to be speaking, so let me just say, first off, women's issues are human issues, and we should all be very concerned about everything that's going on in D.C. today, regardless of of your background or where you came from. We need to worry about things like education, immigration. How many Native Americans do we have here, or First Nations peoples do we have here? Because I know that I read the census report from the last census in 2010. There aren't very many around. We're all immigrants, and DACA is something we should be holding our ground on for sure. But like I said, women's rights are human rights. We need to worry about education. We need people in DC who are willing to fight for accessible and affordable college education, accessible and affordable health care. We need to work towards Medicare for all. That needs to be our end goal here. And the climate. You guys, Wooster is beautiful. This place is beautiful. I love it down here. But we can't just frack away our problems. But we need to be conscious of the world we're leaving our children and our grandchildren. Yes. And I think with that, I just want to wave goodbye to the counter protesters over there. Your time is up, buddy. Thank you, Aaron Godfrey. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much. And now, Joe and Chelsea Chirpek will be coming up to give us a little bit of music. And then we're going to be doing our march.
Okay, hi everybody. Hello. You guys are tough. Hanging out in the cold. It's not just Joe and I. We have very special helpers singing with us. Emmy and Chloe Chandler, and her daughter Ellie, and maybe Susan and her granddaughter. I don't see them. Hi, they're gonna help us sing though. And Emmy is a 6th grader this year, but was down at the Women's March in DC last year with her mom, which is awesome. Yeah! So I think some of you at least know this song. I hope you'll sing with me. I don't want to sing by myself. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out a warning, I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out a warning, I'd bring out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out a warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Well, I've got a hammer, and I've got a bell, and I've got a song to sing all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom. It's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land.
And now, we will begin our march. So, please remain orderly. We will be headed this way. And also remember, in 2018, we're going to grab them by the ballot.
Is here from City Hall except Jen. Is there anyone else I'm forgetting? Okay, if you want to do that, and then if any of you are interested in doing the mattress, it'll be in the, it's in the coffee house there, okay? Thank you all for coming. Once again, it's been absolutely spectacular.
The gerrymandering petition? I've already signed it. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Signs all over town. Buy, sell, and I'm like, I should just get a guy. So that I can know. See, I'm going to hold it back so everybody can. No, I could never do that.